just another thought pattern. And just to kind of preface, I think that this would be the new format of podcast in quotes. Would just be my process, my thought process, raw thought process. Obviously, I'll edit some ums and some uhs and grammatical errors sometimes in between, but really and truly it's just about sharing my thought patterns. Essentially a journal, bro, like a verbal journal. But anyway, just to go deeper on, what I previously mentioned, what I miss, based on self-reflection, what I noticed is that when I started Junzi, which started off as a clothing brand, actually, let me just tell you the first story of it and tell you what I missed. So I honestly cannot remember where the inspiration came from. If you look back at my old YouTube video Q&A, I bet you somebody asked me what was my inspiration. And I don't remember what inspired me to start my first brand, which was Comic Tees, Komik, I believe, Comic Tees. And I just decided to start that. And then later on, when I wanted to restart it again, I stumbled upon the term Junzi, which essentially meant is a Confucian term. It's from Chinese philosophy, whereby somebody is referred to as a Junzi once he accepts the path of constant growth and self-cultivation, regardless of whatever. So everything else is irrelevant outside of consistent growth and development in whatever endeavor the Junzi decides to focus on. If you Google it, you'll get like a very surface level definition of gentleman or superior man. I don't know if that still shows up, but that's what it used to show up. I decided to start the brand, and I remember I was talking to my best friend. I don't know if he's okay with me mentioning his name, but I was talking to my best friend. Let's call him Jekyll for now, because I just privacy. I don't know if he's okay with me using his name. Let's say his name is Jekyll, and I went to Jekyll with the idea, and I was like, yeah, bro, I'm thinking about getting some caps, and getting some t-shirts, and screen printing the word Junzi on it, getting people to model it, and just sell that shit. And he was like, bro, that crazy. I don't know anybody who does that. Well, at the time, this was in Trinidad, when, nobody really knew, nobody was doing that shit that I knew of at the time. And he's like, nah, nobody doing that, but I mean, why not? And for me, I like the term youthful exuberance, that enthusiasm and that enjoyment of doing things purely for the sake of doing it, without external gratification being the main driving force. I missed that purity. I lost that purity somewhere along the way. Whether that was me making like $2,000 in 2 weeks, or whether that was, people asking me to do interviews with them for like school projects, or people asking me to take pictures with them randomly. Whatever I think it could be just an accumulation of external gratification. I started losing that purity of doing, that zen way, that the Dao, the Tao is a Chinese word. Some call it the Dao, some call it the Tao, whatever. That doing for the sake of doing, full stop, which is I am creating this song for the creation and enjoyment of this song, period. And the artistry and the creative energy and the project will exist outside of external gratification, and the existence of the project is the goal. And the process, I don't want to say the process is the goal, but the doing purely for the sake of doing, not lifting weights in the gym and doing sit-ups for the sake of taking a picture and getting gratification, or for the sake of taking off your t-shirt on the beach and your ego telling you that you look good, and the reason why this person looked at you is because of your six-pack, when in reality that's just the ego. Like, you have no confirmation of that outside of your own brain telling you that you exist in this own, oh yeah, I have a six-pack and I look like this, so I have this and I am this. And the reason why this happened is because when in reality you are creating your own narrative that is not real. All that to say, I just missed that purity. And the regaining of that enjoyment of doing for the sake of doing stems from realizing that I'm insignificant. Because when I started Junzi, no one knew who I was. I had no name, I had no accolades, like, oh yeah, I did this and I did this. I started Junzi, and I also came first in the Caribbean, and I also did this. And so prior to that, I had no ego. I was just me. I existed, and I did, purely for the sake of doing, if that makes sense. Not for the sake of views, or for the sake of likes. So I want to sell 1,000 hoodies this year. Why 1,000? Like, what's that metric? Like, what's the value of that metric? That's an uncontrollable variable. And anytime your self-importance is rooted in an uncontrollable variable, you set yourself up for failure. And you set yourself up to be vulnerable and fragile. And anti-fragility and resilience and being exists outside of external variables, is a purely intrinsic thing. It's essentially just being motivated by extrinsic goals or values as opposed to intrinsic goals or values. Bit of a ramble, but just wanted to go deeper in that thought pattern of not only evaluating my past self, but evaluating the growth that occurred between my past self and now, and just being now, and just sharing how I feel now and the way I choose to do things now, because at the end of the day it is irrelevant. So if I derive pleasure and my brain excretes dopamine when I sit down and talk into my phone like a madman, and I enjoy that and I feel good after, then I would engage in that activity, because it's all irrelevant. And I feel like I'm sounding nihilistic, but I'm not. Just take, Yeah. I don't wanna preach. I don't wanna, oh, just think about this and you should do this and yeah, well, this is the way. And nah, I am nothing. You do what makes sense to you. I am simply grateful that you are willing to give me your attention, your most valuable asset, which is a part in your brain. Like, your attention. You're giving me your attention. So now I am a part of your brain. And your brain is your most valuable. Your thought patterns, your attention is your most valuable asset. So I'm not going to use your most valuable asset to feed me, if that makes sense, which is what a lot of people who we praise, even people who I would praise, they take energy. Whether they realize it or not, they take your energy. And that's me being preachy again. Like, who am I to say that? That's just my interpretation of things. But rambling now, just wanted to dig deeper and share these thoughts. I hope you have a good night, day, whatever. Have a good one. However you decide to determine what a good one is. I hope you have one of those. I also just wanted to close this with, I don't want to say a positive spin because that's relative, but I don't want my perspective to be perceived as this negative, or what's the word I'm looking for? Essentially, I don't want it to be too nihilistic. Yes, we are irrelevant. Yes, our existence is irrelevant, but in a positive way, in the light in which I see it in, because I'm simply sharing my perspective. My perspective is not what is, it's just my perspective. My perspective is that I have been bestowed with the opportunity by God. I've been bestowed with the opportunity to exist. And if you want to remove God and go to science, the odds of being a human being is, I believe, 1 trillion to 1. Don't know how true that is, but the odds are pretty ridiculous. So the fact that we have been given this gift of life, which is significant but also insignificant in the grand scheme, we have been given this gift of existence on this plane, on earth, in this reality. We were bestowed with the blessing of our existence in this reality. So why not do what works for you? Why not do what you want to do purely for the sake of what you want to do? Not you do this for this from outside people. You do this for this because this person might perceive you this way. You do this for this so that this person could feel a certain way about you or think that you are this type of person. Why would I take this gift for granted by utilizing my time and the gift of existence? Why would I take that for granted by using it for somebody else's pleasure or using it for somebody else's gratification? Just to kind of put it in a metaphor, it's almost like you're working on this piece of art, right? And you create this piece of art with the intention or with the constant goalpost of other people. So let's say you believe that people would like the color orange to be the outline of your painting or whatever, or the base of your painting, and you spent hours. Let's say you have 5 hours to make this painting, and it's the only 5 hours that you have to make this painting, and then you spend the entire 5 hours painting it orange because you think everyone who's going to see the painting would like the color orange. Why would you do that? If you have 5 hours to paint what the fuck you want to paint. Don't paint it orange because you think people might like orange. Just paint what the fuck you want to paint. And realize that after those 5 hours, people might look at the painting, but they won't care. And even if they do, after your 5 hours or after your 1 hour, however long that painting is up, what's gonna happen is somebody's gonna come, take the painting off the wall, and put another painting up. And your painting is going to be irrelevant. And the experience of the painting is only going to be truly important to you. Because at the end of the day, everyone has their own painting to focus on. And your painting is your expression of you, for you, by you, and it's valuable to you only because you only have 5 hours to paint. 1, and 2, because it's your painting. So that's just where I am right now in terms of my thought patterns, in terms of just a thought dump. And the only reason I'm sharing is because it ties back to the beginning of it, which is for a while I stagnated because of ego, because of trying to paint my painting orange for the sake of others. But the problem was I wasn't self-aware enough to see that the reason why I dipped my paintbrush in orange is because I was under the influence or under the belief that people would like my painting to be orange, or it would be cool if my painting is orange. So I hope that metaphor made sense. Hopefully it ties it together. I mean, no, that's me saying things for the expectation of other people to understand. This is just my thought dump. This is how I feel. And again, thanks for your time and your attention, and thanks for listening.